unfortunately, we don't need to decide at the moment about whether SRM should be used now. I think there's a consensus that now is not the time. We just don't know enough. And climate risks and actual impacts, as severe as they're beginning to manifest, don't yet justify such a shot in the dark, if you will. At the same time, if you look at the middle and especially the less favorable scenarios of emissions in the near future, or medium-term future to be more precise, we could have a world that reaches 2 degrees warming in a couple of decades. And if we want to know enough about SRM to use it in a couple of decades, then more needs to be known. To characterize SRM research right now as a tiny slice of climate change research as a whole, depending on the numbers you use, it's well less than 1% of climate research. It's on the order of $25 million US globally. There's no standing programs that I know of with significant guaranteed funding, for example, from a national government on a multi-year basis. And so the knowledge tends to be a bit, the research tends to be, the funding tends to be a bit ad hoc, knowledge is a bit scattered. So what can be done to normalize that? Now, there might be an argument that says, look, if we're serious about preventing the climate risks of a 2-degree world, we want to try to avoid reaching that 2-degree world as best as we can, but we might not. So if we want to be prepared to make these decisions in the future, the scale of research might need to increase, and the cohesiveness, and that's where international authoritative scientific assessment is essential. The IPCC gave short shrift to SRM in AR6. And so perhaps there's an alternate path. Now, why that was is mere speculation. But it's not just there needs to be more research, that there's a case that if we want to be prepared that there would need to be more research, but this SRM will affect the whole world if it's ever used. And it's the developing countries that have the most at stake one way or the other. They're the most exposed to climate change. They might stand to benefit the most from SRM if it works as well as some of the research is currently saying, but they're inadequately engaged in the research right now. There's capacity limitations, and that's why international collaboration, capacity building for SRM research in the developing countries could really help expand knowledge, spread knowledge, and increase international trust in an issue area where distrust is a real possibility.